Hello everyone, Nordic Beast here, and welcome back to the Shipyard. So, this is my Beowulf station, which is from my Glorious Adventures trailer, you probably saw. And it will be in the series, but I think I'm going to use this as my actual shipyard. I know I talked about using like a big engulfing shipyard like I had previously, but I kind of like this because it's got a nice backdrop here. And you know, this is like a nice set piece, and it's got a huge hangar for, well, two huge hangars for small ships. I find it interesting, and not only that, I've got plenty of, like, I finished most of the interior on this now, so there's plenty of stuff on the inside. If I have people join me again, like DHR Mike did, or in the past I've had Dracul join me, I've got plenty of places to go to like sit and talk and do things like that. So alright, so today I've been working on some ships. Well, the last few days I've been working on some ships, and I've also been toying with some mods, and I thought I'd cover those. So, this is my Wolf fighter, which is on the workshop. I'll leave a link down below in the description. It is currently my most looked at and subscribed blueprint. So this is a modified version with mods and what have you. The original version has 4 Gatlings, like sticking out right where the landing gear is attached. It had 2 on either side, which works just fine, and had a rocket launcher in the front. But I switched it up. That's the Bulldog Gatling gun. God, I love that. If you guys watch some of my older episodes, like much older, when I would fly my Valkyries around everywhere, the Bulldog was its cannon. It's very underpowered compared to how it originally was, even still. But God, I love that weapon. It's the sound. I mean, it does a lot of damage, but it's the sound, really. These are compact rocket launchers, which are just 1 block shorter. The same mod author has ones that are conveyed. He also has ones that have they're tinier rockets and they fire in a burst, and then ones that it takes up. Here, actually, I'll show you. What am I doing? Here we go. So I have these. So 7. There you go. As you see, it has multiple rockets. They shoot much faster, but they scatter. So you can't park 2 of them next to each other like this, because eventually 2 rockets will hit each other. So they have that, and this guy, which fires 1 large rocket. It's slower, so it's easier to intercept for, like, turrets and what have you, and it fires at a much slower rate of fire, like seriously like once every 5 seconds or so, but it's devastating in its damage. So these are just the standard, they're just shorter, they're just 1 block shorter. So this configuration I could actually build in vanilla Space Engineers, like with the 4 rocket pods instead of just the 1 in the nose. I'd originally built this to the original fighter rules specifications, but then, you know, for doing like videos and things like that, I don't care about the specifications, so I decided to kind of up armor it. And yeah, like I said, it's got the Mjolnir on front. It's got the letters mods, and obviously the cockpit with that opens, which, God, I love that. That needs to be vanilla game. Needs to be. This one also has a camera on the back and underneath. And by the way, the only comment I had gotten on this ship in its vanilla form, somebody's like, streamline the engines more. And I don't know. I like it the way it is. I think it's pretty cool. Oh, and then in the original version, this thruster is like 1 block up forward, and I don't know. I just thought it looked better pushing it back by 1. So, but anyway, I also painted it to match United States Navy aircraft, and I believe this is the Jolly Rogers color, the black with the yellow stripes. VF3. The reason I made, VF3 is Naval Fighter Squadron 3. I had a planned mission at one point that before scenarios even came out with Valkyries, and I decided to make VF3 the squadron. And I never did anything with it, and that's something I still want to do. I had this great idea for, like, you had to defend like a ship using fighters, and as the ship was like passing through this area, and you had to eventually destroy like a raider base. In fact, I did a video on it quite some time ago, and that's one of those things I wouldn't mind still doing. I guess I'll put that on my wish list of things to eventually work on. So, with that, I decided I wanted to make an aggressor fighter, like an enemy fighter. And I based this on the United States Navy aggressor aircraft. They take aircraft like like F-16s or F-18s, F-5s, if any of you guys know what these aircraft are. And they paint them as Russian or Iranian aircraft or whatever. They give them different paint schemes, and that's what, in Top Gun, they fight against those. So if you've ever seen the movie Top Gun, the enemy fighters that they're fighting against are, well, not enemies, but like the fighters the instructors are flying are actually A-4s, which are strike aircraft, and F-5 Tigers, which are they're fighters that were built in the U.S. but not really used by the U.S. And but in that, like, they don't really change the colors much. But like nowadays, like, this is actually based on a Russian paint scheme, and I thought that was kind of cool, like the blue and the white over the gray with red lettering. So yeah. Oh, that's the other thing. I also added interior lights for small ships. So like I said, I don't know if I covered this or not, but my rule for adding mods for even for like my videos or for the Glorious Adventure series is they have to look like they're in the game, and they have to be supported. So, oh, and DirectX 11. If it's not DirectX 11, it's no bueno. Sorry. Also, along with this is this mod. It's the Gatling guns from the turrets added to small ships, which I really like these. The stats for these, same damage, but the guns fire 50% faster, but they scatter. So they do a lot of damage. So this is like the equivalent of having 4 standard guns, but they scatter all over the place. So you don't get cohesive fire, but it still does a lot of damage. So it's pretty nice. I would say the Mjolnir by itself is, or I'm sorry, not the Mjolnir, the Bulldog under there is pretty much the equivalent of those two together. So there's one more mod I wanted to cover, and it's this. This is retractable landing gear mod. So it doesn't quite match the aesthetics, and there's a couple other issues, but it was so cool I thought I would cover it here in the shipyard here. So let's see. There we go. So as you see, retractable, which is awesome. My critique with it would make something that again looks like it should belong in the game. I do like nice models like that. I mean, that's beautiful, but it doesn't quite match the aesthetics of everything else. So the other issue is, like, right now I'm trying to roll. As you notice, it's not rolling too well. Once I start moving, it does roll better. Gotta be careful, don't want to hit those. And I don't want to maneuver too much, because if the landing gear's not locked, the pads will move around and then eventually explode into your ship. I've ripped off half a fighter that way. So I'll go ahead and lock them. And as you notice, I maneuver just fine, but I roll slow as dirt. And that's because of the new update in the game last Friday, which today is Friday. Or, I'm sorry, last Thursday, which today is Thursday. They added a landing gear fix that allowed, when you lock onto another block, it becomes part of the grid. So this technically has now become part of the grid, which is cool, but it seems to have slowed the rotation, and that's a big problem. It also has the issue of, let's say I'm not going to do this just because it gets stuck. If I was to lock that landing gear onto the station here, and then shut the ship off, and then turn it back on and unlock it, the gear won't unlock. In fact, it used to just rip the pads off. But now it won't even move. Like, it does nothing. So, alright, now that I've covered the mods, I figure I will cover the ships and their alterations here. Go ahead and power you up. Where's all my controls? There we go. There we go. Oh, I love this thing. I can go ahead and give it a flight without the retractable landing gear. So for those of you who have never heard the Bulldog, oh, just listen to that. And with the 4 rocket pods, you can fire all 4 at once if you want, but if you notice in my toolbar down there, I don't have it set up that way. It's set up with a timer. So if you look at number 5, you see another timer. It's a script one. So every time I load or unload, or like the room, or if I shut off or turn on the fighter, I have to restart the script. Restart it, and now it fires in a burst. I believe that's a quarter of a second burst time between each one. So it basically changes seconds to ticks, or, you know, a tenth of a second. Yeah, love it. So, yeah, the idea was, I think I am going to do either a parody video of Top Gun, or just something like it. Being as I'm a big weapons enthusiast and aircraft enthusiast, I'm also thinking about possibly just doing like the equivalent of a manufacturer's video. I actually watched one on what I talked about earlier, the F5, and it was like a documentary about it, but by the manufacturer. And just I like the way that they detail it. Or if any of you have ever watched back in the 90s, they had Discovery Wings. Like the Discovery Channel had a show called Wings, not the sitcom, but and it was awesome. And just the way they would talk about aircraft, they'd pick like an aircraft of the day and like cover everything it had done, all its interesting features and whatnot. And I was thinking about doing something like that. But since I've got both, I was also thinking about doing like a Top Gun parody. So, which this is my Arrowhead fighter, and I was talking recently that I had updated it, which this is actually different than what that update was, which was just like the coloring. Oh, I should probably, there we go. Oh yeah, I should probably turn my battery on too. There we go. This is actually battery powered, but by one battery. So, and I mean, it actually gets decent performance. It doesn't perform as well as like the Wolf in there, but I mean, it's decent enough, and it's tiny. It is so itty bitty. The idea behind it is it's a fighter that like raiders or small nations would be able to use, you know, because it's easy to maintain. It's very small. It doesn't require that many parts. So that's the Gatling guns. Oh, listen to that. And then it's got the single rocket launcher, which that is actually the vanilla rocket launcher. I didn't want to change it out, that's all. I have no problem with either or. So, I love it. So I was actually kind of concerned that the Mjolnir would be too powerful by comparison to those, but no, that's not the case. Yeah. I really like this one too. This ship is pretty awesome. There we go. So, like I said, these are just designed more as, you know, just trying to add aesthetics to it. So like I said, I think I will do some videos featuring these soon. I really like these. I think they look awesome. I tried several different fighters, like trying to update them with bits that look more realistic or just more interesting, adding more depth to the game, and that's pretty much what I came up with. Are these? Those are what I ended up enjoying. Like, the rest didn't quite look right for one reason or another. So, and alright, so lastly is this, the Fafnir Destroyer. Fafnir, I had to do a little research even for me. I wanted to look up some Nordic monsters. And Fafnir ended up being a dragon that was a human but full of greed, and he was cursed and turned into a dragon. So I kind of like that, so I went with the name Fafnir. And just first off, I would like to thank DHR Mike. This little like piece of aesthetic here, this little star, that was because of him. I showed him an early picture of it. In fact, I will edit in a picture right here. I'll show you. That's how it looked originally, and this is how it ended up. But because of the big flat surfaces, Mike was like, well, you should add something there, because he doesn't like flat surfaces, and I'm actually very, very similar in opinion. Big flat surfaces often look odd in this game, and it really pulls your eye to it. Like, what the hell? Why is it so flat there? So he suggested putting like a star shape there using these items, and I think this is what he meant. I haven't talked to him since, but that's what I came up with, so Mike gets credit for it. I think it looks awesome. I might start putting that on some ships. So, yeah, the idea was I wanted to build something similar to the Glorious back there. Like, I wanted to make something that looked like it was built by the same manufacturer. And but I wanted an effective combat ship. So the original idea was where these rocket turrets are on the top and the bottom. It was supposed to have a custom-built turret that uses a script that allows custom-built turrets to target. In fact, Aaron from Last Stand Gamers had about a month ago, I think, posted a video on that script. Well, it requires another mod to get it to work properly. If you want your turrets to act like regular turrets. So if you were to build your own turret, say out of rocket pods and rotors, for it to actually target and fire independently, it requires another mod. I didn't want to have to do that because, again, like I said before with mods, I don't want a mod that might not be on a server. That's my thing. I know it sounds mildly irrational, but that's just me. So in the meantime, I decided just to put a rocket turret on top and bottom. It works really well with the positioning and everything, except for towards the rear. What'll happen is I'll be accelerating past a target. It'll be shooting as it turns. Here, let me go ahead and give you a little visual here. If I can get on top of it. There we go. So it'll be shooting, and as it turns, it'll hit here or here, and in the process disable this rear Gatling turret. Other than that, it does quite well, and I fixed it sort of by limiting its range only to 400 meters, and it only fires at stations or ships, like large ships, I mean. So it helps. It usually won't turn all the way back by the time I'm, more than 400 meters away from a target. So, and not only that, I do want that short of a range just simply so it's more likely the rockets will hit, that being its main firepower. Otherwise, it's got the 4 Gatling turrets. And then it has these 2 tiny interior turrets meant as like defense for the doors here. Should I go ahead and show you the inside? Open. So, this little hangar here can hold one of my Orion transports, which I don't know if I've shown off, but I'm not going to load it in. This video is already getting a bit lengthy. So I don't care about oxygen right now, I'm just kind of showing off the ship. I decided to do double doors here, just, like in here isn't pressurized, but in here is. Oh, and one of the key features of the ship is most of the ship is 2 layers thick of light armor. Most of it, not all of it, but most. And I know it's just light armor, but that actually helps a lot. So this is a mix between like a social area, because we have like multiple seats facing each other, as well as the cryo bay and med area. So I didn't have much room, so I kind of went with my little tube here for climbing, as I do in a lot of my ships. This is more like a crew area, so you got your individual cargo containers and quote-unquote beds. Gravity gen. And then my favorite part of the ship is the bridge. So it is first person here, even though it has no windows, but it has the LCDs. And get nice. Oop, here we go. Nice, good view of the ship. Oh yeah, you didn't really get to see the tail of it. Look at that. DHR Mike talked about how much he really liked how the engines were aligned. I'm quite happy with it. I think this is an awesome looking ship. So these are the gunner seats. So I got 4 gunner seats. Don't necessarily need them, but I wanted to put them there. So this is part of the engineering area. Again, this was built more for aesthetics with the LCD screens and the seats. Because the actual engineering is back here, which you see plenty of programmable blocks. Behind them are timer blocks, and then of course the gyros. And this is the single air vent that pumps oxygen into the whole ship. It actually works pretty well. It's not too bad. So, and then oh, that's right. I had to remove the oxygen tanks that were up here. That's a modification I'm going to have to make to the ship. I'm going to have to add oxygen generators, or I'm sorry, oxygen tanks. It does have the 1 generator, so I will have to fit those in at some point. Let's see. Yep, no oxygen tanks. Okay, I gotta fix that soon. So yeah, this is the Fafnir. I really like this ship. I think it's ugly, but it's like a functional ugly. So, and I mean, I don't think it would take too many resources like to build on a server and what have you, and you'd have an effective, easily repaired ship with plenty of firepower. And comparatively, yeah, say somebody wants to build this big badass ship, You could build like 10 of these by comparison. The other thing is it does have 2 jump drives inside and 2 large cargo containers. So you've got plenty of storage space, but there's no manufacturing capabilities with the ship at all. So, well, anyway, guys, if you enjoy the series, please hit that subscribe button. If you enjoy the episode, hit the like button, and I'll see you guys next time.